and welcome to Amoraea Earth. I'm Rihanna. I recently had a lovely chat with our brother Anuhazi over on his channel, Christos Avatar TV, where we talked about indigo children, and I shared a little bit about my daughter Indy, who's just turned 9 years old, and my observations and her experience, and just touching briefly and referring back to some of the freedom teachings that help give us a deeper understanding about what indigo children are. So in today's video, I'm just going to explore that and expand into that a bit more and share more about our experiences in the hopes that it inspires a conversation within our wider soul family and calls in awareness about the true potentialities of the indigo templates and the angelic human templates and what's truly possible. So yeah, we're definitely seeing a shift as we move out of the 3D limitations of physical reality. And we're watching as the old paradigm fractures and dismantles. We're seeing the rise of the crystalline structure that is actually responding to the higher frequencies, and as a result is activating our templates and vice versa. So it's all working cohesively and in a balanced state. And you know, this became so apparent to me when Indy brought home that story about her experience of teleportation. So she was in an after school club and she was playing hide and seek with her friend, and it was her time to hide. And she had an idea about where she might like to hide in the room. And her friend was counting, looking through his fingers, obviously. And she said the next thing she did was shut her eyes, and she imagined a really loving experience with me. We were hugging, and it's obviously that beautiful high frequency love nurturing energy that she accessed. And she said that when she opened her eyes, she was standing at the other end of the room beside the piano, which is where she intended to hide. She immediately knew what had happened. Couldn't explain it to herself necessarily, but she did the 3D checklist. It was like, I don't remember feeling my legs move, and I couldn't have got here in that time. And her friend came over and said to her, did you just teleport? And of course, that's exactly what had happened. So when she shared this with me, I became, what is it, just so invigorated by this information, because it was reigniting my own knowing about what was possible. And I'd become a little bit disheartened, thinking, oh, maybe not in this lifetime. You know, what we can activate in this lifetime will just have to be enough. Maybe the superpower aspect might be for the next next realm that we're moving into. However, it signified three major factors for me when she shared this. And one of them was the obvious, the power of love, and the way it induces a transharmonic state within the template. So by accessing that memory or an image of a very loving experience, very high frequency love, she shifted her entire being, her entire light field, the whole template, blinked out of the hologram and blinked back in the hologram in another space-time, like the other end of the room, at the speed of thought. So yeah, the other thing is too, the grids are obviously activated to that point where they can sustain this ability within the templates, which is really exciting. So we've really entered a really accelerated time of transformation on the planet. Obviously, state the obvious, right? But you know, when it starts to activate these superhuman qualities, we're really entering a new realm, a new epoch of epic love, basically. And yeah, that was the third thing. It was like these superpowers that are innate within us, within our templates. This is the multidimensional magic that's contained within each of us. And when we cleanse and clear and purify our templates, this is accessing the true potential and possibilities that's available to all of us. So I just wanted to share more about that and share the excitement that I feel around this. And of course, watching it unfold within my daughter's awakening experience is just really close to home, obviously. And we have wild discussions now about what's taking place. And so we openly discuss other things too that we've both observed and that I hadn't heard her share. Things that she experiences at school, and sometimes when she comes home, she forgets to share it. You know, it's like kids will just move on, right? It's just like, oh, well, one of those things. Um, but she also shared with me a shapeshifting or a lingering effect of shapeshifting, which is really interesting. So, in my own experience, I've seen myself shapeshift. I know the feeling of when I do it in a really high frequency state. It's like fading in and out, and you can feel another aspect moving through. It's very interesting, and other people have seen me do it, and I know other soul family have shared experiences in the same realm, and shared pictures. It's just extraordinary and so cool, right? So it's not just the reptilians. This is actually a Lyran Sirian DNA trait. I just want to put that across. Initially, when I shapeshifted, I was like, oh no, it's like I've got all this reptilian coding. What am I doing? Like it didn't feel right. And then that's why the freedom teachings have been so instrumental in deepening that knowing and understanding around what's truly at the core of all of us and what we're accessing and activating. Um, so yes, Indy was at school one morning, and her teacher and some of her peers were around her, and they said, "Indy, when did you get pointy ears?" She said, "What? Wait, what?" And sure enough, she went to the bathroom and she checked her ears, and they were pointed, like quite distinctly pointed, like an elf. This is what she was saying. And she said it kind of lasted or lingered there for the morning and then kind of slowly faded or disappeared. And that was interesting because for me, it's like obviously the coding is coming through, but it's kind of staying there visibly to those that aren't aware of this magical aspect of who they are. Um, so that was very interesting. And it's kind of on par with, the babies who are born with blue skin. It has a lingering effect from the gene code that's within the DNA imprint and is characteristic of the indigo templates and the lineages that are within our DNA, and signifies beautiful abilities to access extraordinary gifts. So when I came across the freedom teachings, it gave me a beautiful foundation to call upon to deepen my understanding and awareness about the possibilities within us, the things that we knew, but I had no way of like communicating that or just like proving it aside from my own embodied experience, which, I do, but it's nice to start sharing about it openly, in the hopes that it inspires others to do the same. I love hearing stories about soul family that experience these extraordinary things. And it just, if anything, it just amplifies our memory around what's possible and kind of reaffirms that within all of us that this is real and this is what we're moving into. And these are the magical possibilities that are happening now. Um, where was I? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I just wandered off for a minute there. So yes, I was talking about the freedom teachings and the material, what it contains within there gives like a really great frame of reference, for all of us to learn from, because I feel like as we evolve, we're actually going to expand our definition of what's possible within our templates too. So there'll be things that we experience that maybe don't have the terminology yet. However, there are some terms in there I don't quite understand, and I'm going to go through them and hopefully maybe you can help me understand, and how they might translate into our experience. Because there was one experience that Indy had and I had as well, when she was a baby, but it's where your a limb kind of disappears from this reality. And this happened to me when she was a baby and she fell backwards, and was about to hit her head on the wooden floor. And my hand seemed to pass through a cabinet and caught her. So one, I was amazed that I caught her head. It was like this flash, and reflex. It was just so fast. I was just like, man, I didn't know I could move that fast. And two, my hand seemed to pass through the cabinet. And I was like, how did I not break my hand on that? It was really interesting, and I don't know what that's called. It's almost like it just passed through air, and I guess maybe, shows us the illusionary, nature of our reality and how we can manipulate energy and how nothing is actually true and solid unless we feel it. Like we have the ability to transcend out of that state, limited state, and move where we want to, which kind of ties into the teleportation aspect of self. So you can see how it kind of bleeds in or starts a slow activation process into that possibility as you reintegrate the entire thread of the dimensional aspect of the DNA. So Indy shared that with me. She said she had her hand on the wall and she looked over and most of her arm had actually disappeared and she could see the wall through her hand. She could see a translucent shape where her hand was, but she said it was really strange. It had just disappeared. So I kind of feel like it's on that same par of just parts of you, just kind of glimpses of what's happening within your DNA and as part of the awakening process, the remembering aspects of the DNA activation within us, which is really extraordinary and really cool to talk about. So I'm going to read from the Architects of Light manual now about the different strains of indigos and the templates that they carry, because I feel like this information is going to be really valuable to those that are going to be resonating with what I'm sharing and are also starting to exhibit or witness these changes within themselves and their children, because we're now moving into that new realm of the sacred soul family where we're going to be supporting each other in this new, what do you call it? New world, new world where we are activating our true selves and anchoring that into the crystalline grid and building our new supporting structures. So this is from the Freedom Teachings, and it's called Architects of Light. And there is a accompanying workshop that Ashiana Dean has done and is accessible through the links below in the description box. So I encourage everyone to, anyone interested, to go and have a watch and download the manual and have a read too, because I'll always encourage people to put it through their own filter system to do their own discernment on the material and working out how it affects their own experience and their own journey of awakening and ascension. So I'm just going to pull out the bits that I found really interesting about the history and lineage of the indigos and how this is playing into why we're here and kind of stepping into our full embodiment and purpose for being here, which is in alignment with the Emerald Covenant, which the Christos realignment mission, and anchoring these codes and remembrance back into the grid for all to access. And this is happening unconsciously, but now we're doing it consciously as well, and working with one another to accelerate this process. So this is a very long and ancient story that's playing out here in amongst the stellar activation cycle drama that we see unfolding around us. There's a lot going on, and as all of you know, and so much of our reality can be filled with distraction. But it's not until we start honing in on our own story and getting really curious about what we are and where we came from and who we are, that the story gets really good and sheds a very positive light on what's unfolding around us and the creator plan, obviously, moving back into original intention and divine design. Sorry if you can hear my cats in the background, they're moving around. I think they're hungry. Whoops, I should have started this video earlier. Anyway, you just hang on, sweetie. So the contemporary human lineage began 560 million years ago with the Turanesium race of Tara in Harmonic Universe 2, which is dimensions 4 to 6. Other stellar races existed for many billions of years before the Turanesium experiment began. The Turanesium lineage was created to allow a new evolutionary option for ancient stellar races who had experienced genetic fire-letter scalar wave digression and could no longer complete transmutative ascension out of the time matrix. So that's the reclamation aspect of our mission here, is to help all races evolve out of a stuck looping cycle that's been in place for thousands of years and get them back on the evolutionary cycle rather than the de-evolution, including the human race, which is suffering from a massive bout of amnesia, thanks to a ridiculously complex B system. So hominid life in our time matrix began in pre-matter systems of the harmonic universe 4 Lyran star system, the cradle of Lyra. Life was seeded into this time matrix by one primary ultra-terrestrial consciousness collective called the Melchizedek family. The interstellar dimensional drama began with the Elohai and the Seraphi Melchizedek avatar collectives in Harmonic Universe 4. So this is an ancient family drama between family collectives, where one faction broke off from the source-aligned faction because they decided they wanted to be creator gods and play creation rules by their own controlling means. I could have put that in better language, but I'm not going to try. So the Emerald Order Elohai seeded the etheric matter Anuhazi race in Harmonic Universe 3 Lyra, which later fled to the Sirius system. The Lyran Syrian Anuhazi, the Syrian whites, seeded the Azurite race Syrian blues in the Harmonic Universe 2 Sirius system. So these are the race lines where the blue-skinned aspects of our DNA imprint and gene code becomes apparent now. And this is what we're seeing in some of the indigo babies being born. We're seeing a bleed through from this gene imprint. So it's becoming really obvious what we're carrying, and very exciting. In seeding the Tyranesium human on Tara many eons later, the Lyran Syrian Emerald Order Anuhazi and Azurite genetic imprint was used as the seed for the new Tyranesium race. Genetic file letter coding from the 12 interstellar seed races was combined with the Elohai Anuhazi Azurite imprint, creating a hominid form with 48 DNA strands, file letter sequences, the Emerald Sun DNA matrix of the Emerald Order Orifim. From these came a smaller version carrying 24 DNA strands, the double diamond DNA matrix of the Orifim. The Orifim Lyra Syrian Tyranesium became the Templar solar initiates of Tara, the elder race of the Tyranesium 12-strand diamond sun DNA matrix. Indigo children are incarnate members of the Orifim elder race in a hybrid ET elder race cloister human form. So it's through these indigo children that the diamond sun DNA matrix is being brought back into this planetary realm for angelic humans to access and embody. So the lineage and the heritage story is massive and huge and spans billions of years, with a massive amount of fallen angelic drama and the who's who of dastardly creations and genetic hybridization experiments has just been rife in this time matrix. And if you're interested in that, I recommend the Lemurian Atlantean Legacies workshop, which was just utterly mind-blowing for me. But it also validated a lot of my own memories from these time periods, and really helpful in recalling that and kind of putting more color to the picture that I was getting glimpses of. So I'm assuming that's going to also have that same effect for those that feel called to this material. So there's three types of indigo. It's my understanding that there's actually a fourth, but it's connected to the third type of indigo. So I'm going to read through the indigo type 3 and then expand on the fourth, or my understanding of it. So indigo recessive type 3s are part of an Orifim Nephilim hybridization program, through which ancient Nephilim, which are the Anunnaki and cloister human from seeding 2, are provided with a new race line to evolve within in order to clear file letter and DNA distortions so their codes of ascension can be regained. Type 3 indigos have an Orifim 24-strand double diamond plus an 11-strand reverse Templar Sun DNA matrix, which gives them a maximum potential of the 12-strand diamond sun DNA matrix. So type 3 indigos are literal incarnations of two different avatars in one body. An Orifim avatar, which is the angelic, overseeing a Nephilim avatar spirit essence, which could be compared to the devilish aspect. The core of their life purpose is to mend the extremes of polarity between the reversed 11-strand DNA matrix and the 12-strand potential, but their lifetimes serve an important role in the greater plan of healing the DNA distortion within the Nephilim, Anunnaki, and human genetic lines. So it's a massive mission. Type 3 indigo recessives have the most extremes in polarity issues of all of the indigos. So you often see the extremes in sensitivities and the inability to balance very well within the human construct. And see, these ones are the ones that are drugged or end up in healthcare systems and being hugely misunderstood just based on their inability to balance those two polarities, which are just battling it out within them, and can present many difficulties and misunderstandings. So that's where the techniques within these teachings is really helpful. If you do have a child who's an indigo 3, to start working with them, particularly the Maharic seal, which helps to just stabilize their fields. Um, they are typically highly intelligent, mathematically inclined, and athletic, and may have difficulty with emotional bonding issues. So they may seem like they've got an angel and a devil in one body. So moving on to, oh, I'm going to explain the indigo fours. So indigo fours, I've heard through an indigo 3. So indigo fours were the ones that actually dropped the contract with the Nephilim, and they just became being able to focus on the orifim aspect of the soul, and developing that 12-strand potential. So it just felt like they were now given an option to have an easier journey, a soul journey. Perhaps that contract was a little bit too demanding for them, and I think this was just their way to ease the path, which is fair enough. So Type 2 indigos are part of the orifim human hybridization program, through which the 12-strand diamond sun DNA matrix is reinstated within the Earth human genetic lines in order to restore the codes of ascension to the human lineage. Type 2 indigos have an orifim 24-strand double diamond DNA matrix, which gives them a maximum potential of 24 to 30 ascension codes, through which the avatar identity may embody and the consciousness may expand into the Rishi identity level. Type 2 indigo dominants have advanced psychic development and may have open interdimensional contact from birth throughout life. They are gifted in linguistic translation, the arts, music, and interpersonal diplomacy, but may become excessively introverted due to the fear of the Earth environment. Type 2s are the most personable of the 3 indigos and enjoy human bonding if they feel sheltered and safe. So that's our indigo 2s. This group is the predominant group on the planet right now. And so the indigo 1s are the least prevalent. This is the smallest group. Type 1 indigos are part of the orifim human hybridization program, serving to accelerate and expedite reaching critical mass of the diamond sun DNA matrix within the race gene pool before 2012. Type 1 indigos have an emerald order orifim 48-strand emerald sun DNA matrix, which gives them the maximum potential for 30 to 48 ascension codes, through which the avatar identity may embody and the consciousness may expand into the ascended master's level. Type 1 indigos have advanced psychic and occasionally direct manifestation abilities. They usually have physical contact with the elder race family in childhood and have a core life purpose to fulfill advanced planetary gridwork contracts. They are sensitive to everything and often remain detached from human issues to focus on their service contract. They hold great love within for all life forms, which I think speaks of most of the indigos and starseed angelics on the planet, right? We know we came here to protect life, protect the vulnerable, children and animals. So that's a rundown of the typical indigo types. And I'm sure this is just a frame of reference too. I feel like as we evolve, we're going to see through the next wave of indigo children coming onto the planet, and even those that are here now, just an expanded version of the definition and how these templates are going to become quite dynamic in that way. This is just me speaking. I just plucking it from the air. So make your own discernment. But this is certainly what I'm observing within myself and Indie, because some of the material doesn't read true. Like I don't it's not like a care. It's just that I don't necessarily feel that that's related to us or what we're experiencing. We're experiencing slightly different things. So the birth imprint of the indigo DNA. Indigos are born with 24 to 48 strand DNA capacity, the form of the Lyran, Anuhazi, and Syrian Azerite elder race Orifim. Indigos are six-strand active at 12 and have the genetic potential for shapeshifting, cellular transmutation, ascension, and intertime teleportation by age 33, if the gene code activates properly. So I'm seeing this within Indy. She's just turned 9, and she's obviously activating things quite rapidly, and which is really exciting given that potential is now being anchored into the grids. And this leads into another experience that I've had with Indy. Me personally, my journey has been about grid working. I've led quite a background role in terms of the drama and templates and how I've been guided in this lifetime. At 13, I was standing at Uluru and I felt like I was being plugged into the motherboard, if you like. And a lot of my awakening was around, I knew I was recalibrating my blueprint, the templates, cleaning it up. I experienced the fire letters when I met my Lyran aspect, and I just got saturated with fire letter codes, but I'll save that for another video because I want to speak about that specifically. Um, but certainly, yeah, getting these beautiful children onto the grid so they can interface with our natural world with the grid and then experience themselves in that capacity. And not only that, with their parents, with their indigo guardians, to normalize what we are and how we operate and how we move in this realm. We're not tourists here. When we travel, we're actually interfacing with the construct, and embedding a new one underneath it, or dismantling and fractalizing the old one and rebuilding the crystalline one. So it's a very different way of experiencing reality, and the way that you interface with the natural world as well, and the spirit realms that communicate with you as you move and um, uh, leave codes and all that good stuff. Sorry, just total memory, like mind wipe there. Um, so a couple of years ago, I took Indy for her first grid working mission to Melbourne. We were called over there. I felt there was a block coming through Christchurch in New Zealand, something to do with Antarctica. So we had this opportunity to go to Melbourne, and I didn't necessarily know what we would be doing, but when we got out of the airport and we were driving past the harbour, I saw a big stack of evergreen containers, and it gave me an idea about why we're there and how to seed an intention around where we would be guided to do um, our grid ceremony. Um, and also, my brother, who had picked me up, alluded to the fact that the current tyrant, I can never remember his name, probably forgettable characters that play these roles. Andrews, he was still in power, which actually surprised me. I think because ours had been swapped out by that stage, and yeah, it was still holding the line on these draconian laws still in place, playing out in Melbourne, connected to the whole activation event around the Jabberwocky. So I found that interesting. So there were two nuggets of information that were giving me clues as to what we would be doing there and why. So we ended up coming down to the bottom of the basin of Melbourne Harbour. So Melbourne Harbour is kind of shaped like a round basin, and right at the point underneath, there's where the mouth of the harbour is. There's a fort there called Fort Nepean, where they've got red brick tunnels connected to telling us they're war tunnels. So the red brick to me symbolized a lot of the recounts from satanic ritual survivors about how they'd be networked and trafficked underneath cities, and how they'd be moved. So I knew I immediately knew the intention that would be anchoring. So Indy, through our Divine Mother and Divine Child energy, the purity of the love that we contained, we had a rose grid ceremony there. And I was just gently guiding her through there and was sharing with her information about why I was saying the things I was saying, why we were anchoring these intentions. So as we wandered around the site, I was able to point out things. And prior to this, a year prior to this, I met a soul sister in Mont Saint Michel, and we had been discussing whether or not the white hats had actually shut down all the trafficking networks. And, we're sharing our concern with one another about whether or not they were still operational and how were we going to help put an end to this. And then after that discussion, she shared with me that a family friend of hers in Africa, their daughter disappeared and she had been trafficked. They couldn't find a trace of her, which is extremely disturbing on the back of that conversation. And um, had been in my mind for a year since she'd told me, and just constantly thinking, or like just would find my mind going back to this question around, how do we mitigate, these networks that are still operating on this planet, and just how disturbing that is, and we just need to get this out of our reality and bring the kids home. So, um, Indy knew a little bit about it. I talked about the girl and how she'd gone missing. So when we were doing our intention, we called for all missing children to be returned home and to um, cleanse the networks of the depravity, cancel, like clear all war templates. So it was basically just a big cleansing intention around war and trafficking and the crimes against children, these satanic rituals and all this depravity that's played out in this realm, and how we're calling in um, the new the new world that we're going to be moving into, a safe world for our most vulnerable, where we're going to be protecting our children and remembering the sacredness of life. Um, so that was a beautiful ceremony that we set, and we really enjoyed it. Felt really uplifted. And as we were walking away from the rose grid, Indy said that she looked back and she could see three people standing next to the rose grid, and they were gold outlined gold, and it looked like they were in a photo frame. So she said it wasn't like a photo picture, a visual. It was just like this golden kind of glowed image of three people, and she could see their features, but they were just kind of in gold thing, which was really interesting. And then just this year, she's been able to work out who they were, who she was seeing. So that was quite extraordinary to me. Um, So anyway, we went back to my brother's house, and an hour after that ceremony, that tyrant who was still in power in Melbourne resigned, and also my soul sister called me, and she said, "You're not going to believe this, but that girl who went missing in Africa has just been returned home, just out of nowhere, just delivered back to her parents' doorstep." It's like, well, I just lost it. I just had tears. It was such a magic moment, and I shared that information with Indy, and she knew exactly what had happened. It was so Her response was so beautiful. She said, "See, Mum, we sent out magic, and we sent out magic around the world, and magic happened, and miracles happened, and this is the way it works." That's just such a beautiful summary. So after hearing this information, what it did for me was reaffirm the power of intention, and the way with our pure templates, when we, become potent transmuters of energy and transmitters and receivers of energy, we operate on this grid like acupuncture needles, and we're just anchoring the most pure crystalline energy into it. And I just immediately, just wanted to gather with Soul Family and have this come back into our reality where this is how we operate. So that was an ancient memory that was being reclaimed within me. It was like, this is how we used to do things. And certainly with Indy there, she was remembering the same. So she knows about the grid and the connection. And it's also accelerated her memory about this. So she's very looking forward to meeting um, other soul family and gathering as I've been talking about it and seeking to develop this within our communities. And it's if you visit our website, you'll see the some of the places and locations and sacred sites that we can envision visiting. And one in particular is coming up very loudly and clearly that we're being called to, which is Kauai. And there'll be an invitation. Don't know when, a divine timing, but it'll happen when it's supposed to happen. But we're definitely feeling the call to visit this site. And funnily enough, it's the only Hawaiian island I haven't been to. So there's obviously a very significant reason why. And I feel it has something to do with Indy coming or being there with me, with Soul Family. So it's the purity of what we're going to be going back there with. I was about to say back home. And I guess Hawaii has always felt like home. It's just this weird, pull. And I imagine that many of us feel that back to those Lemurian memories and the things that have taken place in our ancient timelines and what we're seeking to reignite within our memories. So that's all very exciting. So if you're interested in learning more about that or want to learn more about the information I've shared, I invite you to join our Telegram channel, which is full of beautiful angelic Christics, just like you. We discuss beautiful topics, and I'm just so grateful to everybody in there and the way everybody contributes and understands the co-creative and collaborative nature of what we are here to do as indigos, starseeds, those who are curious about learning more about their templates and their soul journeys and embodying the highest essence within this lifetime. So please join us on there. There's also resources and links to learn and grow through as well, which has been an amazing resource to call upon and to continue growing in there is just such a fantastic space, more so than social media. I feel myself kind of pulling out of social media. Don't enjoy the MK Ultra energy in there. Telegram is a much better space and we can kind of cultivate a peaceful sanctuary in there. And I just really enjoy that, which is synonymous with our website. So if you'd like to join, visit our website, I've got a bit more information about who I am and my journey. And it's definitely a place where I'm creating and enjoying exhibiting aspects of that journey to help others and how I see myself as a supporting role as I walk alongside my brothers and sisters as we remember together who we are and as divine creator beings. And I'm seeking to establish that as we move forward into our new epoch of epic love, which is what we are creating together. So thank you so much for tuning in to me today. I appreciate you being here. All those details are going to be in the description box below. And if you'd like to get in touch with me, there'll be an email link as well. If you have any questions, always put them in the comments below. And we can stay in touch that way. So yeah, thank you very much. And sending you so much love and I'll see you soon.